Alright, here we are. Gonna hop back in it and do some glaciation studies. Perhaps. We may do nothing school-related on this field trip. Also, there's a little smiley face, or a little shock. It's probably an outlet there in the left corner. Roberta was kneeling by the side of her bed, unpacking her suitcase. Even though they were only staying in the youth hostel for 2 nights, Roberta was adamant about unfolding her clothes, lest they get creased. Samantha did not know why she cared so much. Given this was a school field trip, the only clothes they were allowed to wear was their school uniforms. That and their pajamas. Just who was Roberta trying to impress, anyway? Perhaps it was nobody but herself. Roberta's standards had always been incredibly high. Samantha, however, cared less about what she looked. Okay, that should have been evident given how poorly she had cut her own hair last night, or to be more precise, this morning. At that moment, Samantha didn't care all that much about anything. Not after what Lillian had said. Lillian. Samantha could still remember what Lillian had said, almost word for word. It didn't happen too long ago. How could she not? It didn't happen too long ago. Samantha had always hung on every single syllable Lillian's words were spoke. To Samantha, Lillian's words were even more precious than pearls. Even when those words were directed against her, sharp as razors. Even when they cut her close to the bone, between the ribs and through the heart, and made her bleed. Samantha was such a fool. She cherished everything Lillian gave her, even insults. She probably would have thanked Lillian for spitting on her. She was so impossibly enamored. Samantha wished she could forget Lillian's words, erase them from her mind, but she would not allow herself to. She simply couldn't. Trying to forget Lillian would undoubtedly hurt her even more than remembering all the cold, callous things she had said. Samantha's head hurt. She tried to focus on a book, clutching it tighter than necessary to stop her hands from shaking, but she couldn't. The words blurred together on the page, no matter how often she blinked, and she kept rereading the same sentences over and over. Samantha loved reading. Books were a release for her, whether they were hardbacks on display in shop windows or ancient tombs with yellowing pages, the inside is inscribed with birthday wishes to unfamiliar men or women that were probably long dead. Right now, however, Samantha could not concentrate. She felt so trapped inside her own skull, so depressingly yet defiantly Samantha Taylor Coleridge. She could not even conjure up an image of a water flea, let alone an entire universe. She needed something to distract her. Oh, perfect! This is exactly what we needed. We needed Georgia. Hey, look what I found! And that sounded like it might be good enough. No, it's not. Just we don't want to deal with this. Georgia's voice was so exclamatory, one would be forgiven for assuming she had discovered a chest of hidden treasure. One would be forgiven for... Okay. And it drew Samantha from her melancholy musings. She closed her book, not even bothering to mark the page she had been on, and set it to one side. Even Roberta lifted her head, distracted from her unpacking. What is it, Byron? You'll never guess, Bobby, my friend. I was just rifling through this cupboard and I found this. Georgia drew a box from the cupboard and held it out for the other girls to examine. It was tattered, worn by use, and it was covered in dust. It must have been in there a while. When Georgia blew on the box, the dust had been resting on it, undisturbed for who knows how long, scattered. It danced through the air like dandelion clocks. Dandelion clocks. Ghostly and ethereal. Yeah, whatever. Oh, pretty. Unlike Samantha, however, Roberta did not much appreciate the transcendent beauty of dust. What are you doing? I haven't finished unpacking my clothes yet. You'll get them dirty. But I'm all the way over here, and you're all the way over there. Lighten up, Bobby. That isn't the point. You should show more respect for other people's things. Yeah, whatever. Don't yeah, whatever me. This is serious. And so is this. Look! And with that, Georgia deposited the woebegone, moth-eaten cardboard box down onto her bed. Oh, everybody's here. Are we all staying together? Samantha got to her feet and moved over to inspect it. So did Percy. Eventually, after a long pause, "Oh, fine then," so did Roberta. Upon examining the box, Roberta instantly groaned, pressing one hand against her forehead as though staving off a headache. Not the game of life. Yes, the game of life. Isn't it great? It's terrible. No wonder it got left behind. It's so tedious. That's definitely true. Kind of like life itself, huh? Ha ha, very funny. At least it isn't as dull as Risk. We agree on precious little, but you have to at least concede on this point, Bobby. I happen to like Risk. Of course you do. I shouldn't be so surprised. A dull old maid like yourself would like a dull old game. Who are you calling old? I'm not that much older than you. I think the game of life is depressing. Depressing? Samantha frowned. The cartoon characters drawn on the box certainly didn't look depressed. They were smiling so widely, just looking at them made Samantha's jaw hurt. She had never smiled like that before, not even for a school photograph. Especially not for a school photograph, then why even bring it up? It's all about money. Whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. Don't you think that's a rather mercenary way of looking at things? Oh, this is why this is right up George's avenue. It might be mercenary, but that's just the way life is. Don't say that. That's the way life is, as though it makes it so, Georgia. But it's true. You're such a capitalist. We live in a capitalist society. Another true thing. What else can I do? It's eat or be eaten out there. You better buck your ideas up, Percy, before I take a bite out of you. Cut that out. Percy pouted as Georgia tugged on her hair, just as a naughty little boy might. Okay. Anyway, I hope these lofty morals of yours won't dissuade you from having a game with me. Why do you even want to play the game of life, of all things? It's the only thing here, let's be honest. It doesn't really suit your image. You seem to be the type who would enjoy chess more. Samantha did not add that was because Georgia seemed like the kind of person who would love to preen over her intellect rather than wheeling her hours away playing games for young children. Then again, Georgia Byron was full of surprises. Or Cluedo. Wait, we couldn't get the rights to say Clue? I don't know, Cluedo. Is Cluedo a different game than Clue? The somber murder mystery aesthetic seemed to suit Georgia. No, it sounds like Clue. Maybe it's different in other countries. Georgia more than the colorful cartoon faces beaming from the Game of Life box did. Georgia was exactly the kind of person who would find the untimely death of Dr. Black bludgeoned to death by a candlestick in the billiards room amusing. Although I do like Cluedo, Cluedo isn't here, exactly. We'll have to make do with this instead. You're saying this like we don't have a choice. We don't. I'm bored and I want to play something. George's eyes sparkled mischievously. Unless you would rather do Truth or Dare, Bobby. I already told you not to call me Bobby, and we are not playing Truth or Dare. It's so infantile. Oh, so does that mean you have a lot of deep, dark secrets hidden away behind that pretty face of yours? I don't have any secrets, dark or otherwise. I'm just too old to play these silly children's slumber party games, especially with a person like you. Somebody's touchy. And whose fault do you think that is? Heh. You're that afraid you're going to lose, huh? This, of course, was the right thing to say. Roberta's face flushed so intensely it looked like a broiled radish. Of course not, especially not at the Game of Life. Even a blindfolded monkey could play that. It's just luck. Then why don't you give it a shot? Fine, but just once, and this is only so I can wipe that smug smile off your face. Samantha watched the two girls bicker like a spectator at a tennis rally, turning her head back and forth with each successive insult. Does that mean she had to play too? Well, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. Maybe it would help take her mind off Lillian. And game, set, and done? As it turned out, she did. So did a begrudging Percy. You're all in the room, you might as well play it. It seemed nobody could escape Georgia Byron's whims. The four girls sat together on the floor, still, no, we haven't played it yet, still in their school uniforms. It had taken longer to set up the board than usual, mostly because Roberta and Georgia kept arguing, and now the sky outside their window was pitch black. Where had all the time gone? It felt as though it had only been 5 minutes ago that Samantha had been sitting on the coach, staring out of the window as the gray motor rolled by. Did it only really seem like 5 minutes to you? Maybe her perception of time had been skewed, given she had stayed up so late last night. She yawned, pressing one hand to her mouth. She yawned so hard, for so long, tears began to prick in the corners of her eyes, sharp and salty. At least it helped keep her alert. The crying, or the yawning, or the game. So now we need to pick our car. What color do you prefer, Bobby? You know what, Georgia? What? I honestly don't care at all. Well, I'm going to have red, because red's a power color. So saying, Georgia picked up the red car and placed it at the starting line. You can have orange, Bobby. Why orange? Because of your hair. It's orange, right? Kind of blonde. Like goldfish colored. Roberta held a hand up to her scalp, her face flushing as red as George's car. My hair isn't goldfish color, it's ginger. It doesn't look ginger, it looks blonde. Then do you want me to call you Ginger Nut? No, I had enough of that in primary school. Ginger Nut? Is Ginger Nut a common name? And I thought you, of all people, would be able to come up with something more biting than that. I'm gonna have the white car. Percy's voice interrupted the two girls before they could start arguing once more. She picked up the white car between the pad of her thumb and forefinger, then set it down by Georgia's. You would choose white, wouldn't you? What does that mean? It means that you're a pure girl, Percy. Good job. I'm sure Harry will be very happy. I feel like you're making fun of me. Then I'll take blue. Samantha had not given much thought into choosing her car, and had picked from the remaining colors at random, but Georgia's gonna say something about it. But now that she thought about it, didn't Lillian wear blue a lot? Was her subconscious trying to tell her something? Or was she just overthinking things? Hell, you're wearing blue right now. 3 people in this room have blue on. She did that a lot. Samantha shifted slightly, recrossing her legs. All of a sudden, the wooden floorboards underneath her thighs felt rather uncomfortable. Now we need to take a person peg. All the girls dutifully chose a pink peg to represent themselves, as was the norm. Georgia, however, was not content to be like everyone else, and instead chose a blue one. Roberta frowned. Is there any reason why you want to play as a man? Who says blue is a boy's color? Girls can wear blue too. 3 of us are wearing blue in this room. Just look at our uniforms. Not that there was a hint of blue to George's uniform. She may have been wearing the white blouse and pink ribbon, but nothing else in her ensemble was even remotely school regulation. But she's rich, so she can get away with it. Why did she always wear a black waistcoat anyways? Roberta sighed. She knew if she asked, Georgia would just smirk that unpleasant smirk of hers, and say it was because she was a member of the nobility. Member of the nobility or no, Roberta didn't think that gave Georgia a right to dress any differently from anybody else. St. Mary's had a rulebook for a reason, damn it. You know what I mean. In these infantile games, blue always equates to being male. Maybe I just felt like a change. Sometimes I wish I had been born a boy. Life would be easier then. Then you should start taking feminism a bit more seriously. Sorry, that just got me. It certainly is true that there is a difference between the wages men and women receive, and women experience harassment based on their gender on a daily basis. It just isn't fair. I don't know why you keep telling me this stuff, Percy. It's cute that you're so enthusiastic, but I honestly don't care. What? Percy blinked at Georgia, her eyes wide. She looked like a little child who had been told Santa did not really exist. Samantha didn't know why she looked so shocked. Wasn't this kind of arch cynicism only to be expected from Georgia? It was true that Georgia had a rather firm set of principles, but it was also true she could be very dismissive about things that didn't interest her. But you just said you think men have it easier. I think they often do. But I don't care about that enough to get all worked up like you, Percy. Jeez. It's like she just knows exactly what to say to get under everybody's skin. I think that, okay, what's the point? It's not going to change anything. Georgia, that attitude isn't going to get you anywhere. If everybody thought like that, then nothing would get done at all. We'd still be sitting in our amphitheaters watching slaves fend off hungry lions. That's also not the right thing to say. You're being too generous, Percy. I don't think mankind has progressed nearly as much as you think it has. Rather than putting servants to death, we have simply found new scapegoats for our imagined crimes. Real talk, that's what I'm telling you. That's exactly why you should care. I do care, but I don't see the point in complaining. It doesn't help. People can convince themselves that their righteous indignation has some kind of worth all day long for all I care, but I know it isn't true. The only way to truly achieve change in this world is through brute force, not nagging. That's so cynical. It's because of people like you that the Tories keep getting voted in. I'm not even old enough to vote yet. Okay, so they aren't old enough to vote, but they are taking alcohol, but this is in England where the legal drinking age is lower. That's beside the point. Don't you care about anybody other than yourself? What's the legal voting age in... I don't know. Oh, don't be like that. I care about you, don't I? In your own Georgia-y way, I suppose. Well then, there's no problem. Georgia slaughtered a blue piece, which had caused such a controversy, into her car. Then she sat back with a small smile, her fingertips pressed together. So ladies, shall we begin? And then the game started and went through. Alrighty. So, after all that controversy, I think right now is a good place to end it. Though I am really interested in hearing what they say. Let me just go a little bit farther and see who won the game. Hey Bobby, it's time to pay. Oh, we are still playing the game. Never mind. We've hit a scene where shifted, even though nobody moved. We didn't need the blackout. But that was the point where I'm gonna say this is a scene. Because it doesn't seem like we're actually through with the game. Okay, so next time we'll continue our happy little go-lucky game that will distract Samantha. Because that's the point of the story. Samantha is the main focus. I'm circling her head, but my mouse cursor is turned off on the screen, so you can't see. But Samantha is the focus. Alright, see you guys next time.